Welcome to today's Ask Me Anything live mentorship call. Um, Again, this is a anything goes call. You can ask me any questions you have at all about digital marketing, business, AI, Instagram, literally anything here. This is an open office discussion, office hours, mentorship. You can either come off of mute with any questions or just type them in the chat, and we will go from there. Hi, Asher. How do we unmute? I actually don't know how to unmute um from the viewer side on Substack. Maybe I'll have to switch these to Zoom or something so that it's easier. If you don't see an unmute button, you can type it into the chat, any questions that you have. Hey Paul, how's it going? Again, for those just joining, thanks for joining this morning. This is an open office hours, like ask me anything style call, live mentorship, any questions you have at all about my business, your business, how to get started making money online, Instagram, AI, digital marketing, literally anything at all. This is like the no topics open office hours call, so you can ask literally anything you want. You can come off of mute, but if you or just type your questions into the chat. If you don't see a button to come off of mute, just type it in chat. I'm trying to figure out where that is for Substack viewers in a live. I might switch these to Zoom for next week if for some reason there's not an option for viewers to come off of live. We'll have to see. What questions do we have this morning? If we do a trial reel and you want to release it to your main feed, is there a way to edit the caption? If you mean the part like underneath, you can do that. You go to the trial reel and then you click on manage trial, and then you can click edit there and edit it just like any normal reel. Caption, like the cover, tagging people, all that kind of stuff. And then also in the manage trial page, there's a button that says share to everyone. Linda, so I'm assuming you're talking about Substack. You wrote an essay for your paid subscribers Mondays and free on Thursdays, but you're finding it too much for to do two a week. So, how to still grow your paid tier. Two strategies that I would employ if you're only going to do one article a week. You can do articles in Substack that are like they have a part of it is free and the rest of it is behind a paywall. So you would have like the free part and then there's more and the paywall part. So say like a lot of the juicy stuff for the paywall part. And part of your free portion of the article should be like a little bit of a curiosity gap or like create the need for what's in the paid part, or make sure your readers understand why the paid part is important or would make their life easier or save them time or just some benefit, and make sure that you're explaining it so that they understand. That's one way I would do it. You could do alternating, 1 week free, 1 week paid. Another thing that you should definitely do is focus on notes. So, a lot of free notes that grow your free subscribers, and then as you have paid articles coming out, they're already subscribed to you, they already see you, and that might pique their interest. So, I would do focus on doing a lot of notes. I do like 10 or 12 notes a day. I treat it kind of like Twitter, and I just like put in thoughts all day long into there, like little tips, little insights, thoughts, that sort of thing. And occasionally I'll do posts, notes that like lead into either a free or a paid article. Um, so that's kind of the three levers I see that you would have is um, do the type of article that is pay or free at the top, and then there's a paywall, and then there's a paywall portion. So that kind of draws people in. Try alternating. There is a lot of evidence. People in Substack say, when you have paid articles, they just don't go as viral. You don't grow, even if it's like the half free, half paid. But if you're combining that strategy with a bunch of notes, I think it would be fine. Or you could try doing, alternating over, 1 week you do free, other week you do paid, and kind of compare how the free articles do for, bringing in, free subscribers that would then potentially upgrade to paid. But also, we should definitely be focusing on notes. What other questions do you have? Yeah, you're welcome, Linda. What other question do you guys have? Reminder, this is like a open office hours, anything goes, live mentorship, ask me anything, questions. Um, and you can either come off of mute or you can type in the chat. Okay, so you may just have to type your questions in the chat, and I'll have to figure out, maybe we'll do Zoom next time for these to be, see people can come off of mute. That would probably be a lot easier for people. What questions do you all have? Anybody? How do I stop saving articles and make something? Um, Messy action. The best way, in my opinion, to learn and to actually see some movement, no matter what you're trying to do, is to just get out there and try it. I think a lot of people get stuck in this sort of preparation analysis paralysis, and they don't start, and they're just gathering information and learning until they're waiting until they feel like they have they understand everything and have their exact plan and know what they're going to do. The reality is that's going to change no matter what. As you get out there, as start your business, as you start doing things and testing things and trying things and evolving and learning, it's going to change no matter what. The best thing to do is just to start, understanding that you might pivot, understanding that it's messy action that really drives you forwards. How do you start promoting your Substack if you're mainly on Instagram? As of now, I only send my Instagram reels and I put the caption and notes on Substack, but I've only posted one article. So, I use my Instagram as a top of funnel channel or way to drive traffic to my Substack. So all of my lead magnets and stuff I now have as free Substack articles. And that is what I, talk about on my Instagram. So if you want to get this for free, comment whatever, DM below with ManyChat. And then ManyChat DMs them the link to the Substack article, which does really well for growing Substack and driving traffic to Substack. And it kind of works twofold in that, you can collect email addresses and it also grows my Substack. That's what I really like about Substack and why I switched my overall funnel strategy. I hate the word funnel because it's not really a funnel anymore. It's like a web. But that's why I do it the way I do it, because it's like, I don't know, you're getting two for the price of one as far as growing your Substack, growing that channel and driving traffic to those articles, which then helps the Substack algorithm push you out more. But also you can collect email addresses and everything. So it's just a little bit easier of an experience for users because a lot of people are already on Substack. Do I think LinkedIn is a good tool for lead gen? It totally depends on where your audience is. For some people, their audience just isn't on LinkedIn. And other people, especially if you are, operate a little bit more in the professional space, it's a fantastic tool. More and more people are migrating to platforms like LinkedIn and Substack because there is such a higher degree of accountability. And there's just less AI slop generally. LinkedIn obviously is very tied to you as a human and more importantly to your career and your reputation. So people are less likely to be putting out AI slop, and you can't just like make, backup or extra Instagram accounts all willy-nilly. Backup LinkedIn accounts like you can for like Instagram. In Instagram, you could just make a secret account and be posting slop and no one can ever tie it back to you. So you don't really care. So that information and just the platform of Instagram overall is getting a little bit less reliable, less enjoyable, more inundated with slop. I do think that's one reason why Meta is starting to focus so much more on Facebook, because that, again, is all tied back to an individual. And I think Meta sees that if they don't figure out how to harness and get things tied more back to a human and have some accountability, Instagram is just going to die. We're nowhere near that yet, I don't think, but we may be one day. So that, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. So I think that's why we're seeing platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook and Substack, where there is more individual accountability, more tied to a human and your reputation, and less space for AI to just totally ruin everything with slop. So those platforms I think are going to see even more of a resurgence in the next couple of years. We're already seeing it, but it's going to continue in the next couple of years. Substack is interesting because Substack intentionally does not allow any APIs. APIs are how you automate and can post. People use APIs for good reasons all the time. But it's also how people can just mass produce and mass post and automate AI slop. And Substack does not have AIs or APIs, and that is huge, and why there is higher quality and a higher echelon of information and engagement and users and connection on Substack. Does that mean you replace your newsletter with Substack? What's the difference between having a newsletter you own versus Substack newsletter, pros and cons? I don't really send out a newsletter very often except for my Substack, and I actually don't even really send my Substack articles out via email. It's just on my Substack. The way I see it is so I have an automation where anytime someone subscribes to my Substack, that email, they're subscribing to my emails. So they also go to my flow desk, which is where I have my other emails. And I will send out stuff via flow desk sometimes. If it's more of like a marketing thing or I don't know, just not really fit for my Substack. And then Substack is where it's more like information. Um, so I didn't really replace my newsletter because I didn't really have one. Um, Substack is I monetize. I do have a paid tier, so I have information in my paid thing, but it's also just lead gen. And I think people don't realize that a Substack follow is an email address, and people follow pretty casually on Substack. But as a creator, you actually are getting their email address, and you own your Substack email address. So that's kind of behind my strategy there. I think it depends on, what you're writing about, how often you're writing, how you're monetizing, what the exact journey or web of your offers and lead gen and all that should be. But overall, I think that Substack is a really great way to kind of double dip in that, you're collecting email addresses, but it's also social media. It's like a really nice hybrid. How do I grow my Substack subscribers? So Substack is really amazing because it is both social media and a discovery tool, and also like a place where you can funnel people. So, I grow my Substack in that all of my free stuff, all my lead magnets and stuff are now on my Substack. So whatever social media channel I'm posting on, whether it be like a Substack note or YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, if I'm talking about, or I have a free guide with something, that's always on my Substack, and I send them the link to my Substack. Even if you don't have an audience or any other channel, you can grow just like naturally, organically within Substack. I think that's why, that's one of the reasons Substack is so awesome, because it is this hybrid, and you can discover. The Substack algorithm is relatively young. Substack hasn't been around nearly as long as like Instagram or TikTok, and is highly sensitive to SEO. So if you are posting very consistently, especially like notes, and just naturally engaging in your niche on Substack, you're going to see growth just from Substack subscribers. So as long as you're, posting notes, articles consistently and engaging, you'll see growth naturally, and it'll be slow at first, and then it will start to take off after depends on how often and how consistent you are, but the algorithm learns and catches on quicker. I will say, I think like a third of my Substack growth comes just from like within the Substack app organically. What other questions do we have? What is GitHub for? So GitHub is basically just Google Drive for code. I think people, I don't know, it sounds a lot more confusing and overwhelming than it is. It's literally just like a Google Drive for code. You can have some stuff private for you only. You can share stuff. That's really all it is. So like if you're building something like a software, or like really building anything, like vibe coding or coding yourself, generally where you save it is GitHub. And then from like whatever device or like wherever you're working on it later, you just pull it from GitHub and you just basically clone the GitHub file, work on it on your computer, and then save it, over the other GitHub file, the old one. So it's just Google Drive for code. And, if you're vibe coding, like I have a GitHub account, I've connected my, Codex and Claude to GitHub. I don't ever log on to GitHub. Once I've connected it, like it just saves it to GitHub and pulls it when I tell it to. Like you don't have to log in if the interface is like confusing. Just set up an account, connect your whatever vibe code you're using to it one time, and that's it. What other questions do you all have? A lot of people put skills on GitHub. So if someone makes a skill for Claude or whatever and wants to share it, they put it on GitHub, and then if they'll share the link, and if you want it, you can go get it from their GitHub. And you probably see the word repo a lot, which stands for or means is an abbreviation for repository. And a GitHub, it's a folder. It's just a folder. So like a GitHub repo, a GitHub repository for whatever thing it is that you coded. What other questions do we have? Remember, this is just open office hours. Ask me anything. Like live mentorship call. So any questions you have whatsoever, you can just type them in the chat. Any questions you can ask Instagram, how to start making money online, Substack, digital marketing. Here we go. How do I grow on Instagram now? Can I share latest updates? What are the biggest returns? Yeah. So you can grow with any format, individual like image posts, carousels, or reels. Carousels or reels, I think, tend to serve more for growth. SEO is huge on Instagram. If you're doing a reel, like the on-screen text, the first sentence of what you're posting, or what you're saying, if you're talking, and the first line of your caption are very important for SEO. You really need to make sure, and not just for like stopping the scroll of people once you show in someone's feed. You have to even first get the algorithm to even give you a chance in someone's feed. And I think people overlook how important SEO is for that. You need to tell the algorithm who your content's for, what your content is about, like in the content. It's not smart. Like only until very recently was the algorithm even like trying to analyze the substance of your post and what's in your image and what you're doing in your video. It was just relying on like your caption and your account as a whole and like who your followers were. It was very backwards. It's starting to be a little bit more forwards in that like it's a post first approach, and the algorithm is actually like seeing and looking and understanding your post. TikTok's been like that for years. Instagram is only very recently like that, like 6 months ish. Hasn't gotten any good at that. But it's still so heavily reliant on you in your content, giving the signals directly to the algorithm, who it's for, what it's about, or both, with SEO. So I always make sure that there is, the very first on-screen hook, like, frame 0 millisecond 0.0001 of my video that's got strong SEO. And that tells the algorithm, here's who you need to show it to. And you have to do this consistently. You have to be very consistent for a few weeks before the algorithm will even start giving you a chance. It's not going to take a gamble. That spot in someone's scroll is just so insanely valuable that unless the algorithm can like feel comfortable with and achieve a certain degree of certainty that it knows what your content is about and who it's going to post it to, and who's going to like it and who it's for, it's not even going to try. So that's why people get stuck in like the 200 views. They're not giving the algorithm the right signals, and it's not pushing it out and giving you a chance further. So you need to get the algorithm to give you a chance. And then once it does, your content needs to stop the scroll of the right people and retain them and get them to act. So if it's a reel, you want to, once if it's a reel, you need to make sure you're giving the signals for the algorithm consistently over the last, month and a half for who to show it to and what it's about. And then the actual reel needs to say it shows up in the feed of your ideal audience, someone who they don't know what you post about. They don't know you. They don't know anything, but they actually do happen to be the right person that you want to follow you, that you want to see your content. It needs to stop their scroll. It needs to keep them for the first 3 seconds. And you need to try after you can achieve those two things, you need to try to optimize for retention, which means try to get people to watch the whole way through. Depending on the length of the reel, like your retention graph it's going to go down like crazy. Like if I'll have viral reels, and it's very common to have very viral reels, if they're longer, like 30 seconds or more, your retention graph, like only like 10% of people watched it all the way through. And that's actually very good. As long as they stopped the scroll initially and they stayed for the first 3 seconds, and then it like peters off, and then it usually gets really low for the rest of it. So that's what I would optimize for. It's SEO and then scroll stopping and retention of your target audience. What do I need to know if I'm starting to use AI? The best way, in my opinion, to use AI is to think about things that you're already doing in your life or that you want to do in your life. And then how can you solve those problems, make it faster, make it more optimized, make it better, make it more automatic or automated using AI. So start small with like a little task. And then if maybe you have then maybe you're like, oh, so I got it to do this for me. Now the bottleneck is this adjacent task. Let me add that next to it and connect it. Or you start to build skills, automations, or workflows for pieces, and then you expand them and connect them. And that's how you get like truly automated workflows and really can lighten your workload. But again, like AI it's a tool. It's not like, what are you doing? I'm doing AI. It's, you're using AI. It's like a keyboard. You're using it to do something. So you need to figure out what the something is that you're doing, and then just experiment with AI. Regardless, I recommend downloading the desktop app for Claude or Codex, whatever AI you're using. I use both. Codex is just ChatGPT's desktop version. I use both. They're very comparable. It doesn't really matter which one you're using, and they can do all the same things. They use all the same. They can use skills, like all that. It doesn't matter which one you're using, or if you're using both. But when you're in the desktop app, it just has more power and more access to access your files, whatever you give it access to, and to do stuff for you and act on your behalf. And you can give it browser access, whatever. But it's really like figure out what you want to do and then just start experimenting. And then you'll start to get the hang of it and be like, ooh, like you'll just be noticing, ooh, this would be a fantastic thing to use AI to help me with. Can I share some Instagram account examples that primarily do talking and reels that have strong, consistent on-screen written hooks? So, I mean, if you have my Instagram course, there's like a whole module on this and then walkthroughs of like, it's like literally, I took a video of me like typing on my phone, showing you exactly click by click, like what I do. But what you should really be doing is training your algorithm through your consumption indicators um, to show you, quote, competitor content. I hate the word competitor in this space because that's really not what it is, but to show you accounts that have the same, the audience that you want. And then I would go to those accounts, analyze, like go through, click on, go to their Reels page, look at their Reels, see which ones of theirs have gone particularly viral for them, which generally means like, double or triple or more of like what looks kind of like their average. So I'm just scrolling. I'm like, okay, they usually get like 10, 20,000 views on a reel. Oh, but this one got 100 or this one got 50. So I'm going to click on those and analyze those reels. So why, for this creator, why are these the ones that went viral? And then, analyze the on-screen hooks, analyze the visual hooks, analyze, what their caption is, analyze just the overall substance and value proposition of the reel, how long it is, retention style, like all of that. So I don't think it's, I wouldn't look like from a hooks first perspective. I would look for accounts that have the audiences that you want, larger ones and medium and small ones, and then look at their content and look at which of their content performed, like are outliers in performance for them, and then try to analyze why. What other questions do we have? How do I reset my algorithm so you can start seeing competitors like I mentioned? So again, I've got a whole walkthrough and a whole section on how to do this in my Instagram course. It's the hyper training section. But quickly, what you should be doing is, first of all, you can actually go to see like your general algorithm preferences in Instagram. And you can delete stuff, remove stuff, add stuff. So you should highly curate that to be just about you and what like you should be consuming on your accounts the same stuff and competitor only content like 80%. So 80% of the people who you're following should be, quote, competitor. I hate the word competitors, but I'm just going to be saying competitors. Accounts similar to yours are like your goal accounts or your inspo accounts. And then the other 20% can be like whatever. And it should be like accounts like mine that teach you how to grow on Instagram and that kind of thing that are typical of people who want to grow in your niche. And then also as you are scrolling, you should be going to your explore page and your Reels tab like 10 minutes a day and just scroll through. And if it is not like competitor content, you need to click the three dots and click not interested. And as you do that over a few days, like your feed will start to get curated. Those not interested and interested preferences fall away after 30 days. So you need to do it once you get it so that you're seeing pretty much all relevant content, you still need to refresh it like every few weeks and do a little more because you'll start to see it change up a little bit. Those are the two biggest things. And then, I give really strong indicators when it's like a really good, really applicable piece of content that's super viral or something. Maybe I'll save it or comment on it or something. Just I'm trying to give the algorithm like signals intentionally. You should also go to your search history on Instagram and you can click see all and then clear all of that because that kind of plays into what the algorithm thinks you're interested in. So you can clear that. And then if you want to, you can actually like type in your niche or some competitor accounts in there and some of the search stuff that you would want to show up for if someone is sort of thinking about what your target audience would be searching and type that in there. Those are the three main things. What other questions do we have? The other thing, as you're to train your algorithm and kind of get things in the right space and for inspo, I mean, just use the Instagram search and see what other terms pop up. And those are really good indicators for what good keywords are. Follow your larger competitors in your niche. Also, as you're scrolling, if you ever are scrolling and you click on like to read the comments on Instagram, it's a new-ish thing, maybe from like 8 months ago or something. Where above the comments there'll be like a blue, or maybe up, or maybe below. It depends on your view. There'll be like a little blue set of keywords or question or something like a search term. And click on that. That is a good indicator for here's what the algorithm actually thought this content was about. So you should be analyzing what that is for your own content as well. So, and if you don't have that, that means the algorithm couldn't figure out your content. So you need to do better with your SEO. So, you seeing what the algorithm thinks other people's content is about based on the blue thing the blue link it assigns for that content, and then trying to figure out why. And if it's a blue thing that you would want, use those keywords, try to, get tagged for that on Instagram. And then analyze your own content, see what does and doesn't get that tag, and try and figure out why, and try to, use that as learning. It's all data points and learning for the future and constantly evolving. I don't think, people try to, get each post to go viral or stress so much over individual posts when that's not really the name of the game. The name of the game is consistency and continuing to give the algorithm the data points it wants to understand your content and understand who to show it to. And just slowly evolving that over time. So, each post is just data for you and for the algorithm. It's not, something to stress about. Can I go over that again? You joined late. So I was talking about how to, what I call hypertrain your algorithm, which is how to give the algorithm the right indicators so that it can learn your account as quickly as possible. I have a whole section on all of this with like everything I do, walkthroughs. It's like, literally recording me, showing you everything I do on my phone, on Instagram, all in my Instagram Edge course. I guess I should put that link here somewhere. But it's giving the algorithm as many indicators as you can about who your content is for. And that includes what you're consuming. So try to consume only quote competitor content. As you're scrolling, hit not interested if it's not on the mark, hit interested if it's way on the mark. You can actually edit your algorithm in Instagram, kind of manually take stuff out, add stuff in there. And what was the third one that I was saying? Oh, your search history. Other question, do captions and comments matter for SEO? Absolutely. I always make sure that my first sentence and if there's another, first two sentences of my captions are usually strong SEO, unless I'm trying to do something specific, like get them to, if I have another overpowering strategy for that specific post. But yeah, your SEO definitely matters. in your captions and in comments, both what other people comment and what if you're replying to comments or whatever. Weighted strongest are the first sentence and the second sentence, and I think the last one is slightly weighted stronger as well. But also, it's not just strength of specific sentences, it's also frequency. So I'll usually try to have one or two main keywords per content and make sure that I have that SEO is in my hook on screen, in the first sentence of my caption, and then maybe at the end also, or something like that, or maybe in the body also. So it's looking at the mode or the frequency as well. And the other little trick is comments. I have my ManyChat such that, if someone comments to get something from one of my Instagram posts, my ManyChat's auto response also includes a little bit of SEO and a follow-up question to try to foster engagement more. What am I signaling about myself to others in the algorithm? So me personally, and one thing to note is once you grow and you've built that trust and that reputation with your audience, you get a little more leeway in the algorithm. So you can be a little more all over the place and test different stuff out, but not when you're starting out. And if you feel like you're slowing down, you need to rein it in. I rein it in every few months also, just to continue to accelerate my growth. But once you're a little bit bigger, you get a little bit more flexibility. The algorithm will give you more shots, essentially. I signal Instagram growth, marketing strategy, how to make money online, AI tips and tricks for beginners and for small business owners to work more efficiently and effectively, that sort of thing. And eventually, as you train your algorithm and it starts to catch on, it's super efficient for you as the creator because you're teaching the algorithm to feed you your inspo content, essentially, to see what others are posting in your niche, to kind of be able to analyze their content from an analytical marketing perspective. And in doing so, you're also further hyper-training the algorithm with your consumption indicators. What other questions do y'all have? Any other questions? Is there a guide or walkthrough on my profile we can check out later? So I do have some free guides linked. Substack is easier on desktop. So if you go to my publication on Substack on desktop, there's a whole tab that's free resources. But I also have a whole Instagram course. Let me put the link in a little code for that. That teaches everything. I think it's no link. Putting the link into the chat. And if you use code, I think it's Edge 5025, you get a major discount. What social platforms does Google index is important? So it is, to the extent that your audience is searching on Google and that's somewhere that you want to show up. And very recently, you can now hook up your Instagram to Google to kind of give Google a backdoor entry into understanding your Instagram content. That just came out like a month ago. And a year-ish ago, Instagram finally opened up its posts to indexing by Google at all. Like before, Instagram posts didn't show up on Google search. You'd get a lot of TikTok results, but you wouldn't get Instagram at all. And now you do, finally. Um, you know, it's definitely worth doing. It shouldn't really change once you connect it or once you get that set up. It's for any social media platform. It doesn't really change your strategy because you should always be leaning into SEO. I mean, sure, different platforms weigh things slightly differently, but the goal is always the same. And the best SEO is SEO that like naturally occurs anyway. Like that's the whole point of it. That's not to say you shouldn't be like really understanding your keywords and leaning heavily on them to make sure that you're showing up and being intentional about it. But I mean, Google indexes TikTok. YouTube is Google. Substack definitely shows up in Google. So I think Google now indexes all of them. Is AEO important? What's the difference between AEO and SEO? So AEO is it just for those who don't know, and some people call it GEO. AEO is like answer engine optimization, I think, and GEO is like GPT engine optimization. It's basically talking about if you search something on Google, first you'll get like an AI answer or just ChatGPT. It's like how to show up in ChatGPT or Google, in those little AI answers. Again, I don't think it's worth drastically changing your strategy. It may impact things on the margins. It does impact things on the margins, but the thing about GEO and AEO right now is it is changing so rapidly that, a month ago or 2 months ago, Reddit was weighed so highly in like ChatGPT and Google. So that's like where it was going and it was weighing that quickly. Now then it just changes its model a little bit. Suddenly Reddit is barely weighed at all. And then YouTube is weighed higher. Like it changes so often. And this is also new, that it shouldn't really impact your strategy. Now, one thing that is helpful is if you have a consistent profile or bio across platforms. So it's funny, like someone did something on LinkedIn, like they made some LinkedIn posts or something about how they were the number one resource in all of the world for AI. And then like by the next day, AI answers were citing that because they were looking at that. And he put that as his bio, like on LinkedIn, on Instagram, like on multiple platforms to reinforce it. And that can impact things. But you should be doing that sort of anyway, but not obviously not like lying or exaggerating, but your personal brand or your brand's presence on all the social platforms that you're on, which you should be on all of them, even if you are not actively posting, just create your handle and post sometimes or cross post. Be efficient. You have one idea, get it to go on multiple platforms. But you should just be doing this again naturally. Like you should have similar bios across the platforms that your brand is on. And the AI will collate that information and know that that's who you are and what you're about. Should we pay attention to this? Yes, in that, AEO and GEO essentially has so many blogs and pages used to make money just off of the fact that they would show up in Google and they would get traffic and then they would just have ads and get paid a little bit. So people would ask the question, how do I make a pie? And, recipes are a little different, but it's the AI answers and the, ChatGPT answers basically hijack that click. So you have to make, or like, what temperature do I cook a pizza or I don't know, whatever it is you're asking. Most people or many people are just going to say, okay, the first little AI answer that comes up says 350 degrees. Okay, that's what they're going to do. I don't. That's too many. Oh, damn. Good boy. I just lost my train of thought again. So it did change that. Like it changed blog strategy for a lot of people. That was kind of their strategy because now it hijacks those clicks. So to the extent that you were heavily reliant on that strategy for income, it's definitely something to pay attention to. But other than that, it shouldn't really change your strategy. Can people find your conversations from ChatGPTs or Claude? How do you protect your privacy when using these models? There was some sort of a breach or leak or something a while back. I think of Claude conversations, but it was only certain ones. That's another thing that is going to change by the day. I'm probably a little lax when it comes to this, but I tend to chat pretty freely with my Codex and Claude on my computer. There is in ChatGPT at least, like you can do like an incognito browser that you can do like an incognito conversation that like isn't saved or tagged to you or anything. But I'm pretty sure after that leak like a month ago, it got patched. So I think it's much safer now. Yeah, of course, David. Thank you. What other questions do you all have? Can you rewatch this later? This is available, I think, for paid subscribers to watch later, and it's $13 a month, so it's not anything crazy. And I have these once a week, sometimes twice a week, and you get all my paid content. It's actually like insane. I'm probably going to increase the subscription price to $27 soon, but if you join now, you're locking $13 a month for life. And you get all of my series. I have a whole like AI for entrepreneurs and small business owners and everyday life series. A full like A to Z how to make money online series that's like 100 plus articles that are rolling out. There's probably like 30 or something out now, and I post a couple a week. And a couple other stuff, and you get like all my prompts and all of that. So it's actually a really good deal. And you get access to me like this. What other questions do you all have? Is it best to post directly to each platform, or does it matter if you use Repurpose or Metricool? So I use Prism and Zenith, which is, it's the same thing. It's all API. It depends on the platform. Instagram has publicly said it doesn't matter. A lot of them have publicly said it doesn't matter. I think, some people say they do see a difference. I think sometimes it's just on the margins, and it's probably because they logged into the platform and maybe did a little bit of engagement, and that just like naturally kind of, got things going for them. Um, you know, I only post, and only sometimes, to Instagram directly, but probably like 30% of my Instagram posts are direct. The rest of them are I just posted via API. Like I'll make the content and then I'll be like, okay, go post this. Um, I just have uh, Zenith and Prism hooked up to my Claude and ChatGPT. Um, so after it edits videos, or after I, am good with, like I write down what I wanted to say and stuff. I just tell it to post. It does. I mean, overall, it matters. If it matters at all, it matters on the margins. It's not something that should greatly impact your strategy at all. And for the most part, if you're truly optimizing and manually posting on each channel, it's more than a full-time job. Um, Basically meaning it's borderline prohibitive. It's so much better to be more efficient, maintain consistency, and be on all of those channels than to burn yourself out by trying to like manually post and optimize for all those channels. I mean, that's what Prism does. And then I'm actually working on a program called Dandelion that does exactly this. It like optimizes per channel. I actually hope that will come out end of this week. Anyway, all that is a long-winded way of saying is whether it matters is channel specific. So like Instagram has its own things, TikTok has its own thing. TikTok, I think, does kind of notice and it does kind of matter. But for me, like if I'm trying to manually be on TikTok, it's just not going to happen, or it's too much of it. It's just inefficient, too much of a time suck. So I'm just like, it's better than nothing to just have it post automatically. Sometimes just because I know the nature of TikTok and I'm like, I would never put that on my Instagram, but I'm just like going to go, on a rant on TikTok. I'll just do it on TikTok because I want to, because like we want to get something out there. YouTube doesn't matter. Substack, you can't. Threads, TikTok, Twitter, whatever it is, X doesn't matter. I wouldn't worry about that too much. I'd much more worry about consistency with posting. So Prism is something that I made. And Prism 2.0 is about to come out. It's still kind of in beta. I'll put Prism is like end to end. I made Prism it helps with, it's like everything from ideation to saving and organizing to generating carousels, posts, text posts, articles, scripts, all that kind of thing. And then you can actually connect your social media and post and schedule and do everything. So it's end to end in that you can like have AI help you develop ideas. And also you can have it like actually go out and search for ideas. You can add RSS feeds and like news sources relevant to you so it can like analyze and learn to help you come up with content ideas and you like fill in your brand profile and everything. And it is constantly like learning and helping you get content ideas and create the content and post it. So Prism is just nice because it's end to end, and I can post to all of my channels, and it does optimize per platform in that like for example, I think Threads can only do up to 6 images, so it would like do 6 images, and plus the Threads optimize, not too long caption for a piece of content. You'd be like, I want this for Threads, LinkedIn, whatever channels you want, and it creates a version for each one of those, which is nice again because I would not be otherwise posting on many channels besides like Instagram and Substack, if it wasn't like automated. So I mean, Prism I like because it's mine. Repurpose and Metrical's okay, but it's kind of weird. They are improving. Metrical's fine. It's expensive for what it does and doesn't do. Like Prism does so much more. Metrical is just for like posting and scheduling and analytics. But I found I wasn't really using all the features of Metrical. It just wasn't worth it for me. And it's a little clunky. Repurpose is in my opinion, and I used Repurpose for years until like a year ago when I started building my own stuff. Repurpose is so glitchy. Breaks all the time. You can't really optimize for platforms. And it's really low. Like when it takes content from one of your channels and puts it somewhere, it's really bad quality and messes up the audio all the time. So repurpose was way too glitchy and just not good, in my opinion. For a long time, it was the only thing out there. So it was it was either repurpose or I just wasn't going to be on a channel. Because I generally, until last fall, essentially would make my content, post it on Instagram, and I had repurposed it up to be like anything I post on Instagram, go grab it, repurpose, and put it on TikTok, put it on YouTube Shorts, etc. I wasn't like creating my content and then loading it, loading the file into Repurpose or Metricool and then scheduling it out everywhere. That just wasn't my workflow. And back then it mattered a lot more to post directly on Instagram and not API. But now it doesn't. And Zenith, so it's just the link for that one. I think it's zenithstudio.com. It's like a light mini thing, and it has like an MCP, and you can just like install it into your Claude or your ChatGPT or whatever, and just it's super cheap. I think the cheapest tier is like $9 a month, and you can just post everything. I can remember your brand, and I think you can also. I'm pretty sure it can actually generate images and stuff too that don't have an AI watermark. What other questions do you all have? I know we're at time, but I can go a little bit over. If anyone has any questions at all. Primarily for carousels. What if you mainly do talking heads? So yeah, Prism is mostly for it can create really great talking head scripts, but it doesn't generate talking head video. And that's intentional on my part because I don't want people to be using it to create like AI avatar slop. But it can create scripts for you. Zenith doesn't, none of this creates videos. Zenith you can use, and Prism, they both have MCPs and you can just connect them and use them through ChatGPT and Codex. And so connect it to like whatever editing flow you have for editing videos. And it can post them all. It can post videos and stuff for you to all your channels, but not generate them. But it does generate scripts. Isn't the most important thing to figure out your product? How can I make that easier? So the most important thing is to figure out generally, broad strokes, who you're helping and how, broadly. And to start building an audience around that as you figure out and build specific products. You're probably going to have multiple products down the line. It's not figuring out your specific product or specific offer. It's figuring out broad strokes, who you're helping and how. And that's kind of the overall umbrella for everything that you will do and build your business. And it may evolve a little bit over time, but that's kind of the threshold issue. And Vivian, I have and I know you have access to it. I have a workshop specifically on that topic. It's in Uprise, which I know you're a member of, and it's free. Maybe I'll load that into my Substack. Actually, I'll do that today. There's also in my One Person Empire series, which is my paid series on A to Z, how to make money online, starting from scratch, and how to scale if you already have a business. The first section of that whole series is about exactly that, figuring all of that basic information out for your business. What other questions do you all have? Forgive the naive question, but just from a beginner standpoint, if one were to use your teachings, how long would it take to make income, and what makes you different from others that do those things in advance? how long it takes to make money depends on so many things. What you decide to sell, what channels you decide to market on, price points, how consistent you are, um, both in like posting and showing up for your business overall, but also in in the nuance of the hyper training and all of that. How quickly you build your funnel, like it's really hard to know. A lot of it depends on how quickly you move. It's not like my course is like, okay, day one, do this, day two, do this. It's, I mean, as with anything, it's do as much as you can, as fast as you can, and then the more money you'll make. Obviously, balancing having a life and not burning out, etc. Um, that's unfortunately the nature of capitalism. Um, I have students who I had a student, I mean, recently who started from scratch. She made $20,000 her first 30 days. No followers, no anything. Um, some people are slower. Some people, it takes them a long time for content creation to click. If you're primarily using social media as your growth engine, as the driver of traffic for your offer, meaning like you're not doing paid ads, you're not paying other influencers to post about whatever you're offering, that kind of thing. If you're doing it organically yourself for free, um, a lot of it depends on how long it takes you for content creation to click. Some people I mean, they come to me, they're like, I've been posting for 6 months and just not taking off. I look at their content, I'm like, yep, I can see why. And, then I audit and help them figure it out. But, some people just struggle with that aspect, or people get impatient and they switch around their niche, or they switch around their target audience, switch around their messaging too quickly before the algorithm has time to catch on any platform. And then they're just confusing the algorithm and kind of hurting themselves that way. So Z, I hate to give a non-answer, but it depends on so many things. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a little bit of a luck aspect to how quickly you take off. Now, if you stay consistent and stick with it, like, you're going to make money. Some people make a crazy amount of money like day two because they accidentally went viral or something. Like, there's a luck aspect to it sometimes. Um, but it, if you want to message me separately and tell me more about like your specific business and strategy, I can give you a little bit more insight. Oh, and what makes me different from others that do this? I think that my advice is very practical and no BS. I'm also a little bit more like, I mean, there's a lot of people in this, and don't take this the wrong way, but like come from like an MLM background, and they just kind of regurgitate the same information over and over and over again, and it just gets passed down in an MLM style, and it just becomes outdated quickly. And some people do, just because of the nature of like the MLM sphere, do make money really quickly, and then that's kind of what keeps people attracted. But it's so, this is just general. I don't want to offend you. This is generalized assumptions or generalized things I've seen. Um, I tend to block all of that noise out and look at things and strategize very objectively. I'm a lawyer by background, um, a corporate attorney in big law, so I think I have a very analytical business strategic mind. Um, and just by nature of being an attorney, kind of am good at explaining that kind of stuff. Um, and coming up with new ideas and new strategies and testing them out and thinking of things from a very I'm very strategic, and I think of things and do things that I don't see anyone else thinking of or doing, like just combining or different angles or different approaches that work. Yeah, you're welcome. What other questions? Any other questions? I know we're past time, but I usually stick around for a little bit longer. What is content creation? So content creation is creating any content for the internet, essentially. Instagram, creating Instagram posts, creating Substack, creating anything that you're posting online. Any services that are legit for engagement, like pods, do those like, no, stay away from those. That will actually, while it may boost your perceived engagement, like what the numbers look like on your posts, it screws you over in the algorithms, and that you will get stuck in this weird bubble of the algorithm where the algorithm's like, none of this people in this pod, their engagement does not fit our traditional patterns of engagement that we analyze to learn, because you don't know who's in your pod, and what stuff they're consuming, what they're doing, who they're engaging with, all that is just no. So the algorithm is going to put you in this corner of like, these people are like each other and we don't know why, because it does not follow normal patterns. And then you're going to have little engagement and it's going to look better on the surface, but you are going to get just pigeonholed and not grow past that. So do not use things like pods. Do not use any of those services online that are like, real organic engagement, we promise we'll grow your account. It's bots. Don't do it. It's bots or pods, and it's going to screw you over. I have had clients come to me, and I've actually, year or two, I guess 2.5 years ago, I started like, I have a ton of experimental Instagram accounts where I test different strategies exactly like this, to see what works and what doesn't work. None of those services work. Do not do pods. It's bots or it's fake. Even if they're like, no, it's really US account, it's not, or it's pods, which they won't help you. The best thing to do is to hypertrain very consistently in your niche on social media. If you feel like your account is dead, it's unless you have bought followers or done one of these services or done pods, or if you look at your insights and you're like, or your follower demographics and are like, I don't know why I have all these people in, I don't know, India following me and you don't want a need audience, that might be a problem, and message me and we can talk about it. But unless you've done that, if your followers are organic and you're not like crazy changing niches, you can revive a quote dead account by doing everything in my course on hypertraining. Really getting consistent with your SEO and your consumption indicators and what you're posting. You can do it. I've done it many times on my account and client accounts. Good question. How many Instagram accounts can you have with one phone number, one email? Do you need several phone numbers or emails? Instagram does not have a policy on this. However, if you make a bunch of accounts quickly, especially with one email or one phone number, you're going to get flagged. It's going to be like, why is this person making so many accounts? They're bot accounts, or spam accounts. So you're going to get like in trouble. So if you are doing more than one account, like don't make 5 accounts in one day. Or even 5 accounts in like a week. You can probably have like 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 at the get-go. But make sure you're actually like using and engaging and like not doing spam stuff to warm those accounts up. What other questions do you all have? Any other questions? Can you lose an account if you don't post to it? Like eventually, I think like after years. And it won't get lost like without warning. Like Instagram will email you first. But you'd have to not post for like a year or 2 probably. Any other questions? If you are like a subscriber, you can always message me questions also on Substack privately, and I can help you there. Um, but honestly, these chats are the best way, in my opinion. I think they're so helpful and great, and I think it's really good to kind of see what other people are thinking about, what other people are asking, because it can kind of get your brain going for yourself and your own business. So, any other questions? All right, if that's all, we're past time. Thanks everybody. Oh, should you have the same brand name for different products? Totally depends on the products. And your strategy. If they're in the same niche, probably good to start out. Um, but some people have one product and they brand it 5 different ways. That's a common thing that people do. Paper towels, for example, like, the big companies do that, but you can do that yourself as well. It all depends on your strategy. But Vivian, I mean, just me knowing where you are in your journey, I would not start with one thing. Start with one target audience, one problem, one, one who you're helping and how, and build that, and then ask those other questions later. Can I break down my courses and what to expect? So my Instagram Edge course is my everything A to Z Instagram, how to start and grow and monetize. You'll learn everything. The biggest thing is you learn how to kind of like reverse engineer the algorithm and put it to work for you, which is the key. Now, in a year and forever. And it is updated. Like, I update that whenever there's necessary updates. That's my main course. And then I have a course called Monetize You, which is like A to Z, how to make money online, all the different ways. It helps you figure out everything, who you're going to help, how, and then what monetization strategies or methods you're going to use and how to do all of those. Everything from like affiliate marketing to blogging to, your own digital products to courses to like everything, all the ways to make money online. And then really, I mean, the best thing right now is my Substack. It needs to be charged, or I need to charge a lot more for it, but I'm not yet. I probably will, like, next week bump it up to like $27 a month from $13 a month. But if you do join now, you'll lock it in at $13. But Substack is amazing. And my series is basically my Monetize You course that I'm like updating and putting into Substack form. Now the sacrifice is like, I'm only rolling out a few articles a week. But you get all this other access to me on Substack, to ask questions and to come to these live calls and all of that. And that, is breaking down all the ways to make money online and all the strategies to start and scale and stuff, just by being a paid Substack subscriber. Am I forgetting? I have other courses, but if you tell me like specifically what you want to do, I can tell you which courses might be applicable. I am working on a Substack course, a Pinterest course, and the Pinterest course will probably be like a mini course, because I've done Pinterest for a couple of years and never really gained traction. Then I tried something about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago actually, and my Substack my Pinterest has just absolutely exploded, and it's an automation, so I don't do anything. I just set it up. It took me like an hour to set up one day. So I'm gonna have a course on that, probably a mini course, and like we'll sell the like copy paste automation with it. So I'm coming out with a Substack, a Pinterest, and probably like an AI automation for small business owners course very soon. Actually, I would love it, audience, if you want to let me know which one of those you'd be more interested in. That will tell me which one to make first. Or if there's a different topic you'd want me to make a little course on. It will probably be like $97 for the launch, and then maybe like $197 after the launch. for any of those courses. The Substack one might be a little more expensive. Not sure yet. It depends on, what I end up including. But those are my main courses. And then I have Prism app, which is, here, I'll put links to all these. That's my Instagram Edge course, and I will enable this coupon code right now. If you buy it today, you will get $50 off with that. Prismapp.com. That is the content creation app. It's not a course, it's a tool to help you make content more, better, faster, all of that. And then I have another thing called autoviral.app. That is another service. So that autoviral is cool. And I need to fix the messaging on it because people, I don't know, I don't think they understand what they're signing up for when they're signing up for it. And it's funny, when I was doing this manually, via Google Sheet for people, and it was so clunky and difficult to use, people got it, and the value prop, for whatever reason, was better, and it was more expensive. I've literally just done that and turned it into it's just an easier to use website. And I think people, because it's an easy to use website, the expectations have changed, even though the offering is actually better and cheaper. Anyway, so what did it? You fill out a brand profile about your brand. Lots of detail. The more detail, the better. I mean, you don't have to fill out a ton of information, but the more, the better. And then me and my team researches trends on social media in your niche and creates the trends for your brand. And if you upload B-roll, just background video, either your own, or you can have AI generated, or you can just use stock video. If you upload B-roll or use stock video, then all the trending content is B-roll content. So you get fully edited trending reels with the trending audio, optimized for SEO, all that done for you. So you get 7 trends done a week, 2 versions, and a templatized version if you want to do your own. And you can do all 3, really. You should do all 3, some of them as trials, or just post them a week apart or something and post twice a day. So that's autoviral .app. And I used to deliver this via, you would sign up, you'd fill out a Google form about your brand, and then each week you would get a Google Sheet with the trends, and it was put this for the first 3 seconds on your reel, put this for the second. Now you get it already edited, and you can change it and edit it if you want, but it's already edited, and you literally just connect your Instagram or your other social media and hit post. So autoviral is cool, but I think that, I don't know, I need to fix my sales page because people don't seem to understand what it is and how to use it. So I am actually working right now on creating a better tour when you sign up for autoviral. But autoviral is amazing. None of this is included in Instagram Edge. No, these are separate services that cost me a lot of money to run. And I have a team, humans too, that help with autoviral to, research your trends and stuff. Because it's highly custom content that's just done and ready to post. It's good as part of a strategy too. If you're doing some of your own stuff, maybe longer form, maybe talking head, high value educational content, plus autoviral trends, plus carousels and posts from Prism, that's really just autoviral and Prism is the perfect combo, because you can use autoviral for your just easy talking heads. You don't have to do any work, B-roll reels, and then Prism for educational carousels or just any carousels, and to help you write scripts for talking head. That's everything. That's an easy strategy for you. How much is autoviral? Autoviral, you get a week for free to test it out, and you can cancel and you don't have to pay anything. And then it's $97 a month, but it's $97 a month for basically 2 pieces of content per day ready to post, and you don't have to do anything. It's like a full-time social media creator, which is more $2,500 a month. Saving you time, you don't have to research trends, you don't have to do anything other than fill out your brand, as much as possible. And if you don't like the content, you can give feedback, and we'll remake it for you. Or if you're this kind of missed the mark, or something is not clicking with who, it's just not capturing my brand voice, or it's, if you don't like the content for some reason, we redo it for you. Prism, it depends how much it costs. So there's a free trial with that one too. Prism depends on how much you want to do. Because it's AI image creation, it's AI, like it uses all the top AI models. So it's a credit based thing. So it depends on how much you're doing and how much you're creating and how many brands you want. Like there's an agency tier for if you have like a bunch of brands. Um, or there's a lower tier, it's like $27 a month. That's plenty for one brand to post like daily. Any other questions? And Prism right now is like in the final stages of beta. Prism 2.0 is going to roll out probably in the next 2 weeks, and the price will probably go up. Um, but if you sign up before then, you will get the like founding member tier for life. Um, yeah. Any other questions? I know we're way over time now, but I can stick around. All right, if that is it, thanks everybody for showing up, engaging, joining me here. If you are a Substack subscriber, you can always message me questions, like not on the calls, for some help. And we have these calls once or twice a week. Um, so yeah, let me know. Thanks everybody. All right, thanks everybody.